I've lost count of how many separate days I've brewed. I'm brewing about every other day because I'm still stretching it out. So when I'm drinking the beer, I'll drink beer I brew daily, but I will have brewed it 2 weeks before, is what I'm guessing, and I'm approaching that. Now the one on top of the post is the last that I have brewed with a light colored malt. Then I got new malt, and that's traditional dark. I think I talked about that already. So that's a change. And the other change is at the same time I shifted over to brewer's yeast. So I'm leaving two things behind. I've bought commercially some lager, it's called, but it's Yinglings, and it's darker. And I thought, well, that'll give me something to compare it to. Here's that bottle of Yinglings. And one of the things I wanted to say about a pleasure for me and what I'm doing is I'm dealing with beer without all the hype, without all the commercial art, without the shiny cans. It's just beer, or ale, actually. I've learned so much about brewing and about ale and about beer, and I'm going to continue to learn. I've ordered a book on the history of beer. But one thing I wanted to mention now, and I've also begun to move my little brewery out to Frank's Hall, which is what I'm calling the wagon shed that I'm converting into a hall. And I'll take you out there and show you. One of the things I'm going to show you out there is the other day I drank nothing but my beer the whole day. And it's still not great, but I'm getting used to it. And remember, it's still done with bread yeast, but I'm not drinking the beer that's way too thin to even be called small ale or small beer. It's the right amount of it's a better proportion of malt. But anyway, that on the right, I'm not going to drink the rest of that today. And what I've been doing with what I didn't drink is I've been virtually dumping it, pouring it into a carboy, an empty carboy I had. And I might have told you this, I don't know if I did or not. Much to my surprise, when I did it, the fermentation took off again, better, more rigorously than it had in the first place. And there's probably reasons for that. But anyway, I'm thinking I'm going to just regularly do that. If there's beer that I'm not going to finish that day, instead of just keeping it, I'll probably dump it into the beer of the week, or just there's a story I'll tell. I'll tell it later about. It has to do with what in Brazil they call the sopa de dia, soup of the day. I'll tell it right now. And the restaurants in Brazil, they would generally take things that were left over and just put it in a big pot and call it the soup of the day. And it's some of the best soup I ever had in my life. But they couldn't really name it. And some of my Brazilian former Peace Corps volunteers that are watching this, they'll remember this. But anyway, since I'm not kegging it or casking it, really, casking it, I'm just going to dump it back in the brew. Another thing, I'm going to make some changes too. I think I'm not going to put any priming sugar in anymore to get that carbonation, carbonation, whatever. When I bottle it, in effect, I'm not going to bottle it. I don't mind drinking it flat, and I'll say more about that later. I think that's probably enough for right now.